Well, it's me again. It's time to get in the creek. We're gonna look for tunnels because Thrunite sent me another flashlight. This one is pretty awesome. This is the Thrunite T1PRO. I've shown you the Thrunite T1s before. This one is 1900 lumens, which is pretty slick and bright. That's on the turbo mode. The general modes are 1100 lumens, 25 lumens, 44 lumens for Firefly, and then strobe is 1100. I'm sorry, turbo was the first one. So this is 1920 lumens. Pretty doggone bright even in the daytime. So we're gonna go to the waters. You know, the knee bone's connected to the hip bone. If you've been looking for water, this is it. We're gonna take a peek downstream first, then come back up. There's never much downstream. You've been here before. We found many an item. I use my old man words, many an item down here. But maybe we'll find many more. I'm walking under what I thought was abandoned railroad tracks, railroad trestle. And believe it or not, there's a train about to come over us. I guess all you need is, what, 5 of the 6 standing up and being strong, and then they'll make it. I don't know. We'll gotta get back in the water. I thought it was gonna work, but I had to choose the option it's too deep, because it was pretty deep in there. Which is odd. That's usually the most shallow spot. So we will head upstream. I've been watching these series of documentaries called Rivers of Life. They're old, but they're still cool. I did not know there were major rivers and countries that flow north. I can't remember if it's the Nile, the Amazon, or the other one that flows north, like 1100 miles north. So then I got to Googling it, and I found out there's a lot of Alabama rivers that flow north. Who'd have thunk it? I thought everything was downhill from here. Why is this so deep? Probably because the bottom's a lot further away than in other spots. I saw this bottle looking at me from afar. I believe it is a broken Dr. Pepper paper lab. It looked really good right there. I think that's a good spot for it. The only bottles that ever survive this creek have to be found quickly, because when they wash out of the banks, they get broken quickly. I don't know why there's golf balls in every creek in Alabama. There's a quality beer can. That thing has been there 40 years. I guarantee you that's a one owner. Only one set of lips have graced the lid of that beauty. Well, we can date it with this. What is this? Oh, there's a barcode. We need it. I don't want to pull it out. It's like artwork. Someday somebody's gonna find that. The government's gonna come in and mark it off as a burial site, and those will be things we used to, that they think we worship. That'll be cool. Take some of these treasures, for example. I give it, what, 50 years when plastic is finally done away with. It'll never be done away with. And styrofoam and stuff like that. When it all becomes antique styrofoam and plastic and everything, these will be used as examples of how we survived back in the day. You'll be able to buy this styrofoam cup on eBay for $35. So everybody will hit the estate sales and try to find every old dead person styrofoam cup collection. Did you know that the acronym for sad and disturbing is SAD? I don't know, all that information just then was sad and disturbing. So when someone says something that's ridiculous, you say, man, that's sad. I say, what is that supposed to mean? Sad and disturbing. Don't you know your acronyms? If you chose to walk across that, you would be laying on the bottom and your feet would be over there and your belly would be on that slick rock. That's why I choose not to do that. This has all recently been cut, but there's generally, like the car, I get it generally, like the car, bottles up in here. Some old, some new, some borrowed, and some stolen, but never the nonetheless, they're usually one owners. That's tough to find one that's a two owner, but you never know how many pair of lips have graced that. My bride usually accompanies me to these treacherous waters, but she can't on this particular date because there's other things going on. So we'd venture up alone. Usually you can only get about another 73.8 feet up through here, and then it gets too deep to enjoy, and you have to go back and either crank your wagon and head upstream or press 9 to continue. For those of you who have been with me for years and learned how to identify unique, odd, and rare treasures in Cedar Creeks, you know that this is an American piece of Toliana. That is Americana Toliana. If you're real good, you'll be able to tell me where that goes on the toilet. I had to get out and choose the options I gave you to get to where I am. So I don't know if you remember a previous video, my dad fell, was in the hospital, broke his femur, the last piece of bone that was in it, because he has I forget the real word. He has prosthetic hips, prosthetic knees, and he has the upper part of his femur was prosthetic already. So he broke the last piece of bone that was in his femur, picking a tomato, and he stepped too far over something and landed on his knee and shattered it. When he stepped too far, it was a little further down on the other side. So that's that. He went in the hospital. This is nuts. He went in the hospital and hang on a second. 4th of July week on a Thursday. I don't remember if that was actually 4th of July, if it was the day before, the day after. I think that was 4th of July. So if that's the case, he went in on like a Tuesday. I don't remember. He spent the entire week before the 4th of July, as well as 4th of July weekend, in the hospital in severe pain. Here's the part that stinks. He couldn't eat anything or drink anything because he was getting sick. He was bleeding and nobody knew where from. 7 units of blood later, 6, I'm sorry. 6 units of blood later, the following Monday, there's a doctor that does the scope and look around, and he had a ulcer that was bleeding. The ulcer had obviously been there before, but this just happened to make it a lot worse somehow, some way. So he spent from the week he got there through the following Monday in severe pain and agony, not eating, getting unit after unit of blood, because there was no doctor on call that knew how to handle it, or that was, I don't know if they'd be an internal med or what they'd be called, something like that. But anyway, nothing we could do about it. The nurses were great, and they took care of him and kept him alive. And we were all absolutely terrified, because how do you get so much blood loss in like 2 or 3 days? That's when it really got bad. So anyway, They plugged that hole. The following Monday, what is that? No, it's just a piece. That's where the magic happens, people. That's where the magic happens. They got that hole plugged, and 7 to 9 millimeter ulcer. I thought, wow, that's pretty small. She said, that's actually pretty big. Because I'm thinking 7 to 9 millimeter. But that's, I guess, too big a hole to be bleeding out in your stomach. Which explains why he got sick every time he ate or drank anything. Anyway, very disturbing event. He finally made it yesterday, and we're a couple of weeks, 2 weeks later, 1 week later, into rehab, also known as therapy, because you can't say people are going into rehab anymore unless they are addicts. I did not know that it changed. When you rehabilitate someone, you rehabilitate them, whether it's due to substance abuse or you got to rehabilitate a bone break or something. But apparently it's no longer rehab. Interesting, huh? So at least 2 months in rehab therapy. Forgive me, those of you who are PC. I don't know all the lingo. It's tough to keep up with it. There was a time, you want to hear something that's going to blow your mind and possibly offend you? I hope it doesn't offend you. There was a time in the Bible, everybody's familiar with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Everybody. You can't say you've never heard it. So therefore, that's where the word sodomy came from, and that's where the laws were put together. Sodomy, sodomizers, sodomizers, and things like that. And I believe it's still a law everywhere, but of course, you know, nobody goes by it before because it's 2024. So out of that, the Greek word for pedophile was pedo something, and I forget. I always thought that was something you used to trim your toenails when I was younger, but it's not. Not only can you not call somebody a pedophile anymore because it's offensive, there is an official word for it now called minor attracted persons. Isn't that amazing? I'm not trying to get all political or whatever on anybody, but who'd have thunk it? They would not be called a minor attracted person if it was my child. I'm rarely aggressive, but when I am, I drink. What is that drink? It makes you... I rarely drink, but when I do. I could not believe it, so I Googled it. There was this on a sermon I was listening to. And sure enough, even the American Worldwide Health Association, organization, whatever, the next step after removing the word pedophile to minor attracted person, once you give it a title like that, you make it where it's possible for somebody to be, that is deep, somebody to be medicated for it. And when you medicate someone for it, then it becomes a disorder. Once it becomes a disorder, those with the disorder are no longer responsible for any laws they break or anything they do. I'm trying to get this water to move because this is so little nice tea. You get where I'm going with this? If it turns into a disorder, then eventually it turns into a norm. Eventually there's enough people in that activity to make it be called not a disorder, and to make it not be called an issue, and laws are changed, and the age of I can do what I want to do goes from 18 to 12. That's already happened. I remember growing up in Germany, and in Amsterdam there were people activated for moving the age of, ain't accountability, what is the age I'm thinking of? To like 10 to 12. And in my mind I thought, Oh my goodness. And I was 14, 15, 16, I don't know, all those years, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, all those years in Germany. And I thought, do you know how many old, because back then everybody from 20 up was old, grungy and nasty. I said, do you know how many old, grungy, nasty men can easily talk a 12-year-old into doing anything? And I was disturbed at that age. I wasn't even a Christian at that age. Look at that. What is that? We better read it. That's a big watch. Anyway, I'll stop yapping about this. I want to get out and have fun. But I'm letting people know who have children who are still considered minors. It's disturbing to me, because the whole story about Sodom and Gomorrah, it used to be a thing that was frowned upon, and there were laws made to stop it. Then people were categorized as doing stuff illegal, you know, if you were of the same gender. Enough activists and people got involved to entertain that, or who did that, and now it's okay. And now there is a month set aside for it. I hate to see the day when there's a month set aside for minor attracted persons. I don't know. I'm not trying to be offensive to anyone. I'm just sharing the truth. It's disturbing. I don't know how that all just popped into my head. I need a cool drink of water, and there it is. Got a little hint of urinal, but whatever it takes. One more thing, and I may be Dag, which is dead and gone. Dag. Are they still alive? No, they're Dag. They're dead and gone. I may be Dag too, but the day's coming when the same rights will be given to people and their animals. They will be able to claim them on their insurance policy and get monetary support as if they are children, because we all love our pets. I even got this dog. Oh my goodness, this dog sits on the couch. Incredibly obedient dog. Gets on the couch, slowly creeps towards me, and looks up at me with these sad eyes. And then it opens its mouth and it starts singing this song, Sad Eyes. Looks like it's over, you knew how. And then I'll reassure it and say, look, you're a good dog. We gotta go to another spot. So I put my hand on its precious little head, and she looked up at me and smiled. And we sang a couple more bars together. And she cuddled me. Then I pointed at her spot, snapped my fingers. I'm not lying either. And she went back to her spot on the other end of the couch where her little special blanket is. And she looked up at me, licked all her private parts, and went to sleep. So needless to say, I do like my dog. Another most amazing thing to me is my cats, boy and girl. Both like the dog too. They sleep around it, they look at it, they nose touch every now and then. Girl raises her paw like she's gonna slap a taste out of her mouth, and the dog backs down. The dog's name is Ragdoll, and life is happy. She's no longer drinking out of mud puddles or eating dead animals, but I was cutting the field over by the woods, and there was one, which is the loneliest number, rabbit, a headless rabbit laying there, because that's what cats do. If you have a cat that goes outside, you'll find a headless chipmunk on the porch, a headless bird on the porch. This was a rabbit, a big rabbit. So it was a bobcat. And I thought, ah, my dog, she follows me right everywhere. She was with me. I was cutting grass. She stays away, but she runs like laps, like 1,000 miles an hour around the fields and through the woods, and comes back to me and looks at me, and I'm still cutting. And she takes off and does it again. She's not scared of water anymore. She jumps in the creek, plays. And then she gets a whiff of the headless rabbit. Don't be upset that I'm saying headless. We all know the story of the headless horseman, and we think it's cool and get a little scary over it. And we put a pumpkin on its shoulders and we go, ha ha ha. So the headless rabbit's laying there. It's reached the point of, I can smell you. And she freezes. And she walks over to it, and I was like, ha ha ha. So I put my deck as low as it go. There is a pistol. Do you see that? I'll come over here to pick up that plate. Uh-oh. I cut the edge of the woods with the deck about as high as it'll go. My goodness, that is a heavy plate. It has to be heavy or it'd be broken. Look. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. My name is Luca. I live on the 2nd floor. So I dropped the deck to 2 inches. And I said, I'll fix this. I was gonna just gently bump the rabbit and get it out into the pond. 2 inches is a little aggressive. And the rabbit disintegrated into various pieces. That says Texan Jr. Pretty cool, huh? That's been here a long time. I think that was a pretty popular little cat pistol back then. So now I've got to deal with multiple. Why is this plate so heavy? Well, I was going to read it, but when you do that, you know what this is? It's one of those invisible ink plates. My name is Luca. So I made multiple turns back and forth to send a piece after piece into the pond for the fish and the snapping turtles. And I just can't stand to walk through all this coffee. But I missed it. I missed one piece of fur. When she got it and did the happy dance, she thought, I'm free again, like she did when she lived on the streets. She's only a year old, so the vet said she most likely got tossed out when she was, not long after she was born, and had lived her entire life in the woods or on the side of the road eating garbage. She had about a year's worth of hair. Man, that would have been a cool bottle. And solid mats like rocks all over. I know y'all have seen the video, so I'll stop talking about it. So she jumps around with this wad of hair and runs from me. And she's jumping around like Snoopy with Vince Guaraldi throwing down in the background. And she's all excited, and I was like, oh well, what can I do? And I keep cutting grass. Needless to say, she has done the opposite of eating starting last night into this morning. She's getting better, and I think she's realized there's no need to eat that stuff anymore. She loves it when I take the trash down to the road, because then she thinks, oh, this is like a buffet to me. and I stop her and she doesn't eat. My goodness, this place is a mess. She's getting better though. That is humongous. Whatever that is. I don't know what it is. I need a place to use a flashlight. I've never found a marked brick in this creek. I don't expect it to start happening now, but if it did, seedless Danae, I would be excited. Look at that antique telephone. You'd have to squeeze right there and you put that in your mouth to talk. I forgot my glasses, so I can't see either. So we pretty much got to get right over stuff and look straight down. I'm kind of tired of talking. Y'all talk for a little while. Tell me what's been going on lately. I know where a lot of you guys are from, but what state are you in? You don't have to give me your address or your phone number and the color of your house. I'm just curious what state everyone is in. My son, of course, the room is in Arizona. It's like 375 degrees there right now, but it's 100 here today, right now, even with the clouds in the sky. And it's smoking. Maybe there'll be something of interest up here. The bummer is I just came and cut all this, so if there's anything cool in here, the guy's doing all the work. I already found it. There could have been girls doing the work. I just found an opportunity to utilize our Thrunite T1PRO. You can see a little bit in here, but not really, really good. What do you think? Bicycle frame? Frame? Let's test this. That's as bright as it gets. So hold it. One click is minimal. 2. It gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And then a bunch of clicks gets it on. And there is Firefly. Let's see if we can go Firefly a little less. That goes up. Hold it down, and it goes back down. That's as low as it goes. That's Firefly. That will run the rest of your life on Firefly. It does on mine too. I'll put the link to this flashlight. Oh, nasty. I just splashed my leg with this. I know a lot of y'all are probably sick of flashlights. Well, guess what? Olight, Thrunite, of course, are my two favorite flashlight companies because their stuff is just cool. Olight makes pocket knives. Have I told y'all this already? They said they're going to start sending me pocket knives to review. But I'll go ahead and warn you. They're very expensive. I mean, they've got not so expensive ones, but they've got expensive ones too. I never understood what made a pocket knife expensive. Other than just supply and demand. So I went up to the rehab facility this morning, and I need to go back soon. And I was leaving, and I had to talk to someone up front as I was leaving about my dad's insurance and all that stuff, and because he found out he's got to be in there more than 21 days, at least 2 months to get him put back together again like Dumpty Humpty. So they want to talk about insurance, so I went to the counter. And I said I need to talk to whoever I need to talk to about my dad's insurance, because I know he's covered for 100 days, and then he can go out and come back for another 100 days if he needs it. And they said, well, who did you talk to? I said, I don't know. Somebody told my dad that. So he was getting nervous. And I said, I think my dad said it was a guy, and they said there's no guys that work here to do that. I said, okay, then it was a girl. And I said, I'm sorry, a lady. And I said, I'm sorry, a woman. And they looked at me and I looked at them, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what to say. I said, somebody told him. And then they said the word she. And I got on to them. I'm about to fall down and hurt the person on top of these feet. I've gone as far as we can go. That's it. That's way over our heads. Not really, way over my boots. Needless to say, I never figured out who I needed to talk to, so I gotta go back. Thanks for watching my videos.